Star Wars is, and will always be, a cultural phenomenon, spawning conventions, toys, TV shows, and of course, an abundance of video games. But which ones are worthy of the Jedi Council, and which ones fail to meet even Jar Jar Binks' expectations? Hey Shackers, Greg here, and today I'm going through the top 10 Star Wars video games. Now without wasting any time,
we're a little rushed, so if you'll just get on board, we'll get out of here.
Let's make this jump to lightspeed. These are the top 10 Star Wars video games.
Here they come.
Can't make it out, Commander.
Hailing vessel, repeat your message. We read you, but you're breaking up.
Repeat, this cargo vessel Corellia Star. We are under from the Imperial fighters. Clear information is the Alliance.
One of the corniest and most enjoyable Star Wars games I've ever played. From the realistic digitized sprites to the live-action cutscenes, the game told a compelling story of a new prototype TIE fighter that threatened the rebellion against the Empire. The game featured flying ship levels and ground combat that was kind of an on-rails shooter with a basic cover mechanic. But honestly, at the end of the day, this game was just a fun fantasy adventure, much like any other Star Wars film. I'll remember this awesome cheesy game forever.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Shut up.
Hold it! You two! What are you doing here? This is...
Again, this PC game makes its way onto one of my lists. What makes this game so great? How about the deep combat mechanics for managing your shields, speed, and weapon power, which meant you had to think about the engagements, rather than go in guns blazing. The game has a great story, Imperial-based mission structure, and if you did well enough, the Emperor himself would reward you.
You are now the Emperor's hand.
Something truly special. Your weapons, your armor, and most importantly, your brothers. Delta 4-0, your foundation. A pure and uncomplicated soldier. 6-2, the heart and soul of your team. And 07, the fiercest hunter of all your brothers.
Here's a game that got lost in the shuffle. Republic Commando was a first-person squad-based shooter on the Xbox and PC. It had the gunplay of Halo and the tactical prowess of a SOCOM game all wrapped up nicely in the Star Wars universe. The game took place between episodes 2 and 3. The story fit nicely into the canon, even if it took place during the prequels. The awesome gameplay made this Star Wars game one to remember.
Intelligence thinks that this may be an act of retaliation for the destruction of the Death Star.
Interesting. This looks like it could be a normal Imperial attack, except for those sounds.
Very perceptive, Commander.
In 1995, first-person shooters on the PC were wildly popular, and Doom clones were abundant. However, Dark Forces stood apart from most of these games. Playing as the mercenary Kyle Katarn, your first mission was to steal the plans for the Death Star, but that's just the beginning. Later you find out the Empire is making a new battle droid deemed the Dark Trooper. With the intriguing story, interesting characters, and all the Star Wars themed weaponry you can think of, from blasters to thermal detonators, the game was fantastic start to finish.
This is too easy. Now to get to my ship.
Lock air spoils in attack position.
One of the original launch titles for the GameCube, the game was surprisingly fun, especially when you consider its 9-month development cycle. The game allowed you to fly a multitude of different ships, from Y-Wings to A-Wings to the famous X-Wing fighter, and placed you in iconic places in the Star Wars universe. the Battle of Yavin being my personal favorite. It was one of the few launch titles I enjoyed, and one of the few that was actually decent at the same time.
Yahoo! You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
A rebel fleet has just arrived from hyperspace, my lord.
It is a useless gesture. They cannot prevent the end of Alderaan.
The Star Wars universe houses a number of famous battles, and what better way to portray them than in an RTS? Controlling Star Destroyers, TIE Fighters, partaking in huge battles both in space and on land was great. You could choose to either be the Empire or Rebels. That choice allowed you to participate in missions to destroy the Death Star or defend it. The game included an online skirmish mode as well as a story campaign. It was just a great Star Wars strategy game.
The enemy has been defeated.
Shadows of the Empire was one of the first Nintendo games available on the N64. As Dash Rendar, you play through the events taking place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. The game did a faithful job with recreating the historic Battle of Hoth, and playing your way through a series of chapters pursuing Princess Leia's whereabouts was a great driving force. It was one of the first Star Wars outings on the Nintendo 64, and it was executed perfectly.
Well, you said it, Chewie. Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Today's target is an energy collector on the northern section of the platform. If we can take it down, production facilities in the area will grind to a halt. Let's move them out. The enemy's forward command post is on the other side of this bridge. We'll have to...
The reason Battlefront 2 is on here, instead of the original, it's because it was improved in all areas from its predecessor and introduced lightsaber-wielding characters for the first time. Having 32-player battles on the original Xbox is no doubt a major feat. Spanning across the battles from the Clone Wars to the Galactic Civil War, taking up the role of a foot soldier or Jedi in the battlefield was no doubt a great feeling. These battles were to scale and were recreated perfectly. I personally can't wait to wage war on the Imperial forces in EA's new Star Wars Battlefront.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Kyle, I've been expecting you.
Skywalker?
You've come for your lightsaber.
Yeah.
After all these years?
Jan's been killed by a Jedi. Goes by the name of
Desan.
Can't get enough of this ex-Jedi protagonist? Kyle Katarn comes back in the famous Jedi Two Jedi Outcast. With a great story mode, controls, and lightsaber combat mechanics, it's one of the best designed Star Wars games out there. And then, there's the glorious online multiplayer, which featured a free-for-all, deathmatch, and capture the flag modes. It's no wonder this game is the most remembered in the series.
All right, say goodbye to this wretched hive of scum and villainy, and hello to Cloud City.
This pathetic planet from the face of the galaxy.
Trying to nail the very essence of Star Wars is a daunting task, but leave it to BioWare to be the developers to hit the exhaust ports on the Death Star with this game. Knights of the Old Republic is by far the greatest Star Wars game ever made. It captured the galaxy in a near perfect way and was only limited by the current console and PC hardware. The story, characters, and game mechanics made for a perfect blend of Star Wars nostalgia, and it will always be one of the best, if not the best, Star Wars game to date. What Star Wars games do you love? Let us know in the comments below. Have an idea for a top 10? Tweet me and include hashtag top 10. For more videos like this one and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.